All right, good afternoon. We recognize for many of you, our joint providers, that your CME responsibilities are in addition to your actual title and responsibilities of your job. We want to take a few minutes to explain to you why you have to do all this paperwork and to encourage you that it does have its purpose in providing accredited CME. We want to take you through this Prezi and talk about the process and then walk you through our joint providers website.
All right, so the process we go through is not mandated by us alone, nor by the Medical Society of the State of New York, but nationally by the ACCREDITATION and AMA. The first part of our process, the Joint Provider Agreement. This is an agreement completed online. It gives you an upfront summation of our policies. This form must be completed and electronically submitted for each application you submit. It must be submitted 30 days prior to the event start date. It also overviews the fees. We have a $500 application fee and a $100 credit fee. Please note that all invoices must be paid within 30 days of the invoice date. This is an outline of what we're going to be going over in this presentation. We are going to start out with the needs assessment, which is made up of the gap, the need, the objective, and the desired result. The gap. The gap is determining the current state of knowledge or practice. To help you figure this out, some questions to ask are, what is the difference between the actual, what is, and the ideal, what should be, in regards to performance and or patient outcomes? On the application, you need to write one short summary of the gap. The need, the educational needs that you determine to be the cause of the professional gap. Again, to try to figure this out, ask the questions, what should that state be? What is lacking? What do they need to learn or improve? And just like the gap, this needs only to be a short summary. Moving on to the objective. In response to the gap in need, the objectives clarify what the attendees will learn. Learning objectives are what the attendees should know or be able to do at the end of the educational activity. Please note that learning objectives are not what the instructor is going to cover. That would be a teaching objective. To help you better write objectives, keep these three questions in mind. What should the learner be able to do? Under what conditions? How well? The objective should always answer the first question, and they answer the next two, but do not have to at all times. When writing your objective, you should introduce the objective with, upon completion of this education activity, participants will be better able to, and then list your three objectives. So for example, you would write, upon completion of this education activity, participants will be better able to, 1, diagnose PCOS in an academic manner, 2, evaluate all the medical comorbidities in PCOS in an evidence-based fashion, and 3, determine, based on evidence, the best course of treatment for patients with PCOS who are trying but unable to conceive. All right, on this slide, we're listing verbs that you shouldn't use in starting out your objective and ones that you should. On the left are listed commonly misused verbs. Please avoid using them. If you know, understand is on this list, so please don't use that. On the right, we have a few listed that are good, strong verbs to use in crafting your learning objectives. And on the application, you need to write 3 learning objectives. You may include more, but 3 are required. All right, now we're going to move on to the desired results. Desired results are what you expect the learner to do in his or her practice setting. So to help you figure this out, ask how will the information presented impact the clinical practice and or behavior of the learner? Indicate how this change could be reasonably measured. And on the application, you need to write one short summary of this. That concludes our look at the needs assessment. We're going to move on and look at the evaluation.
We have three types of evaluations: the participant, where we would evaluate what the learner has learned and whether we met the learning objectives in preparing the event. The other is the faculty. We want to evaluate our faculty's experience working with us on planning and preparing for these types of activities. And then finally, the education director, who evaluates how well the activity met what the education director was intending to do.
On our evaluations, everything that is marked in red is to highlight for you what you need to put in to make it specific to your event. You'll find the templates for all of our evaluations on our website. For our faculty evaluation, you need to make sure that each faculty has their own evaluation to fill out. Again, everything in red is what you need to change. On our director evaluation, you'll note at the bottom that it says faculty disclosure was made. This is just to remind you that all disclosures for planners and faculty must be stated either verbally or in written form to the attendees at each event. Even if there's nothing to disclose, that must be stated. Now we're going to move on to speaker qualifications.
We need to ensure that all the people that we have teaching are actually qualified to perform that part of the educational activity. So we therefore ask for a CV. A bio is acceptable. What we need is just simply proof that the speaker is qualified. We also need to have a disclosure filled out for each speaker and planning committee member. What the point is to ensure that anybody who has control over the content in any way, shape, or form has disclosed and resolved any real or potential conflict of interest. And when you read through the form, you can see that once a conflict is disclosed, that's not necessarily exclude them, but we work through ways in which that conflict can be resolved.
Again, you'll find the disclosure form on our website. All right. To help simplify this process for you, we've come up with an application checklist. This is also posted on the website. It lists all the different forms you need to fill out and submit prior to the application, as well as all the post-activity paperwork that you need to send us after the event occurs. And I just want to remind you that we will not be accepting old forms. The ACCREDITATION has mandated new language that we must adhere to. Thus, we've updated our paperwork to reflect this, and we appreciate your compliance with this. So please, no old forms. Delete any on your computer and download our current and up-to-date paperwork off our website, which is here listed as bbmc.libguide.com/CME/joint-provider-CME. We're going to go ahead and take you over to our website and show you how that works.
Wait.
All right, so this is what you would come to when you type in our URL. This is the landing page of the website. And as you'll see here, there's an overview of our process. So please read through that, make sure you're up to date, and refresh yourself if you need to. What I want to highlight for you here is as I scroll down On the left side, you'll see our navigation bar. All of these different links take you to different web pages with more information that are helpful to you. So we have first the live CME activity. Most of your events are going to fall under this category. So you should be going to this page to get the templates you need, to answer questions, to get the language, also to fill in the application and joint provider agreement. You also will probably be visiting the regularly scheduled series. If you have a tumor board or a grand round, you would be using this. If you decide to do enduring material, you would want to visit this page. The rules are different than the other two, so that is specified there. And then the CME fee and structure goes over all of our application fee, our credit fee, gives you examples. So you can visit that to see in more detail. And then we have resources listed for you as well as our contact information if you have questions, which is the same as over here on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the live CME activity page. It's loading still. But as it finishes loading, I want to draw attention here to the description. This spells out what a live activity is. It's a certified CME activity that occurs at a specific time as scheduled by the accredited CME provider. And you can read through the rest of that. I want to point out here that application checklist I just talked about in the Prezi, you'll find that here. You can open that and it's a PDF form for you. There's also a glossary. If any of the words or verbiage we use, you're not quite sure about it, you can look it up here and that will help clarify any questions. I'm going to scroll down here. And normally our widget would appear, but what I'll do is, if this should happen to you, go ahead and click on our link here below, which says View Application in Whole Screen. I'm going to open that and take you to that. So this is what our application looks like. This must be submitted now online. It no longer is acceptable to fill out our old paper form and fax or email that to us. You're going to go through filling all of this out. It is not a form in which you can work on it and come back. You need to have all the information and sit down at one time to fill it out and submit it. So then at the bottom, you would click Next. It'll just have an overview that you filled out everything, and then you would submit. I'm going to go back to the website. Here on the left, you see templates. This is where you'll find the disclosure form, the evaluations. Also, if you need a flyer template, you'll find that here. The form is optional. The format's optional, but you need to make sure that you're still using the proper AMA language, which you can find here below. I have it written out for you. Again, where it's red, you need to change that to be specific to your organization and event. But you need to copy and paste that directly. I do want to make note here that if you have not yet received CME credit, you've only applied for it, you cannot use any verbiage or language that would suggest it will have CME credit only after you have received confirmation, and then you must use the proper language below. Coming back up here, if you're getting commercial support for your event, you're having grants, you have to submit a budget to us. If you're not, the information in the application is sufficient. We're talking about commercial support. We have here a link to the full ACCREDITATION standards. You'll want to take a look at that. We do have it summarized here for you just to look over, as well as information on the Sunshine Act in case you have questions about that. And then here you'll see, again, there should be the form to fill out, but this is the joint provider agreement. You do have it in a Word document here for you to print out for your own reference, but it must be submitted on the website, which will be there. So I'm going to take you now to the regularly scheduled series. You can again go here on the side and click it, or you can go up to the tab at the top. This looks very similar to the live activity page because usually RSSs are actually live events. They just occur daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and they are all put on one application. So if you're doing an annual reapplication for a Team of Order Grand Round, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be submitting a regularly scheduled series, or an RSS. That means one application fee, but you pay a credit fee for each credit of each actual activity. So again, you'll find the disclosures and evaluations and the flyer to the left. Here, it loaded, so you see the widget for filling out our application. And again, you can make it full screen if you would like to have it larger. And here is the joint provider agreement. You would type in your organization's name, read through our policies, and then at the end you would submit it. I'm going to briefly click on the enduring material. I haven't had any of you apply for this yet, but if you so desire, there is more information, and it is different being that it is a long-term and not just a one-time activity. So you would need to refresh yourself with all of this, and then, of course, feel free to contact us. So now, last year, or this year, we changed our fee schedule to now being a $500 application fee plus a $100 credit fee. And we have examples here. So if you're unsure of what it would look like for your activity, we have it broken down by live activities of a one-time presentation or a teaching day. We also have it broken down for our regularly scheduled series. And we show how it's actually more cost-effective to apply annually because you're only paying a one-time application fee of $500 instead of doing it each time you have an activity. So instead of paying $6,000 for 10, you would end up paying only $1,500. So annual application is more cost-effective, and we highly encourage you to do that at this time. Please note that our application fees are non-refundable. They're application fees. Whether you get approved or not, you must pay that. The credit fee is also non-refundable, whether or not the activity happens or not. If you get approved for those credits, you pay for them. And also the invoices, again, must be paid within 30 days. And then we have our resource page, which are a variety of links that will take you to society and organization web pages, other resources that may be helpful for you. So when you have a moment, look through them and see if there's anything that might help you. And then we have our contact page. So this concludes our tutorial on our Bachelor Brothers CME joint providership process. Let us know if you have any questions.